Today on Nerdalific, we're going to take a look at what the sum-if statement is. If you are looking for a way to create a sum formula based on specific criteria, the sum-if statement is the best way to go. For this example, I have provided us with fictional sales data. This lists the number of sales made per month for a specific employee. To the right is where we're going to use the sum-if statement. If, for example, you would like to find out what the total number of sales were for the month of January, this is where we will enter it. You start by typing equals sum-if. Excel is going to show you two possible formulas. One is sum-if and one is sum-ifs. For this example, we are just going to use the basic sum-if statement, which is going to sum a range of data based on one criteria. We're going to hit Tab, and automatically the open brackets will show. Now, you can see the example formula come up. It says range, comma, criteria, comma, sum range. The range is going to look for a specific data that you specify within a certain amount of cells. So the range is going to be the cell range that you're going to look for this specific data in. Click on the top of the data and drag your cursor all the way to the bottom. Now you're going to enter a comma. Criteria is the specific data that you are looking for in that range. In this case, it's going to be January. So if you just click on this cell, you are telling Excel to find the word January within that data range. Now we're going to hit a comma. Now it's going to ask you which range of cells do you want to sum. The thing to remember is that the data range needs to match in size to the first range. Click and drag on the number of sales. Once we get to the bottom, we have finished our formula. Now you can hit enter and Excel will automatically close the brackets, or you can actually type in the bracket yourself. I'm going to hit enter. It says 152. So we made 152 sales in January. Now you can copy this formula down, but first we need to look at absolute referencing. Absolute referencing tells Excel to keep a specific range without changing it for when you copy and paste a formula in other cells. So let's just show you an example. If you drag this down and copy it to the bottom cell, look at the difference between these formulas. The criteria range is D5 to D29. If you go down to the cell that you dragged it down to, it has changed to the range D6 through D30. Now we don't want this to change because now for February, say February was in cell D5, it is not going to include that in your sum. We want that specified range to stay the same regardless of where we paste this formula. So what we'll do is we'll click on this section and on your keyboard enter F4. Do you see how it has added dollar signs in between the letters and numbers? This is telling Excel, do not go outside of this range no matter where I put this formula. Now you have to put that under each section. Now if you hit F4 multiple times, it's going to change which range is going to stay still. So for example, if you have the dollar sign in front of the 5 but not in front of the D, then if you paste this cell over here into K5, then it could change this D to an E. We don't want that to happen. Now similarly with this one, now if you keep the dollar sign on the D but not in front of the 5, then it will keep the D the same, but it could change this number. You can keep hitting F4 until you get it back to two dollar signs. We're going to do the same thing with the sum range. We are going to hit F4 on each section of this range. Now we don't want to change the referencing on this section of the formula. This is the section of the formula that is referring to the month. We're okay with this changing as we drag down because we don't want it to be looking for January in every single cell. We want it to refer back to the actual month in the same row. Now, one tip is this formula is color-coded to show you what range or which cell it is referring to. So D5 to D29 is in blue. The cells here are also in blue. Now I5 is in red, and January is in red, so you know that the formula is referring to this. Now the sum range is in purple, and the number of sales range is in purple. So now you know exactly where the formula is referring to. It's a good opportunity to check for any errors or glitches in your formula, because if there's anything else colored on this sheet, then that means it's included in this formula. Now let's hit enter and copy this formula down to the next two cells. Now if you check the formula, you can see that the absolute reference ranges are not changing, but the center cell reference is changing, which is perfect because I6 is February, and that's exactly what data we want to be summing. So now we know what our total monthly sales are from January through March. Now we can do a very similar formula to find out exactly how many sales each employee got for the same range of time. So what we will do is we'll start another SUMIF statement. Equals SUMIF tab. The criteria range this time is going to be the employee column because that is the information that we are looking for. So I'm going to select this section. I'm going to hit F4 right now. Now did you notice when I hit F4 this time that it automatically selected both ends of the range? That is because I did it as soon as I selected the range. Now if I hit comma and then go back and hit F4 into that same section, it's only going to do one of the bookends. So now I'm going to hit comma. The criteria we're looking for is right here. So we're going to click on that cell. We're not going to hit the absolute referencing this time because we want that to be able to change when we copy the formula down. Now we're going to hit comma again, and again select the number of sales range. And select F4, the absolute referencing. And then enter. Voila! Amber had 100 sales between January to March. Now I'm going to drag this down. Ooh, look who won. Mark had the most sales in the first quarter. Good job, Mark. Join us on our next video to learn how to do a SUMIFs statement, which will sum data based on multiple criteria.